Hello, my name is Katrina Kilmartin from Fort Bragg's Army Substance Abuse Program, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about alcohol use during pregnancy, known safe amounts per trimester. So let's get in the know. Good morning, this is Katrina Kilmartin. Again, we're going to be speaking about preventing alcohol-exposed pregnancies by looking at trimester by trimester use of safe alcohol, both quantity and frequency. And this is just kind of who's driving the train here. I've been specially trained by Proof Alliance of North Carolina about fetal alcohol spectrum disorders and delivering this training. We do often use different language throughout the training, and we want to be culturally sensitive. So when we talk about pregnant persons or women, we are trying to be all-inclusive. Here are some of our objectives. If you can check out the screen. What is fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, also known as FASD, and how it presents across the lifespan. I like talking about alcohol in standard drink servings, binge drinking, and serving sizes, and the importance of planned pregnancies and preventing alcohol-exposed pregnancies. So let's talk about what is a fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. It's not simply a physical disorder. It is brain-based, medical, preventable, caused by alcohol exposure, and most importantly, the effects are lifelong and irreversible, meaning you will see this from birth through the lifespan, different milestones that might not be reached, different milestones that will be reached slower, and some maybe cognitive and physical differences between that and those without alcohol-exposed pregnancies. So this is kind of astonishing. Up to 1 in 20 estimate of people in the children born in the United States have a fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. And later in the slideshow, we're going to talk about why alcohol use is so prevalent during pregnancies. Here are some of the characteristics of FASDs. And remember that this is only a small portion of characteristics, not all inclusive. With the low birth weight or slow to develop, this could be seen at birth. You could also see slower weight gain throughout the lifespan and slow to develop certain milestones. With irritability or anger, you might see tantrums more frequently than those in non-alcohol related pregnancies or anger meltdowns, so to speak. Sensitivity to light, noise, and touch, some of those tactile and sensory issues that we often see in other related types of disorders. Difficulty sleeping and hyperactivity. Some of these characteristics start to mirror other disorders. Can you think of something that had similar characteristics of FASD that might be classified on a different spectrum disorder? And I'm going to emphasize spectrum. Right, autism. So it's important to see professionals to really diagnose and differentiate fetal alcohol spectrum disorders from all other disorders so that you can receive appropriate treatment and resources. And these are some of the other characteristics of FASDs: speech and language delays, poor social skills, distraction, coordination, impulse control, memory, and difficulty in school at work. But don't be discouraged. Those people born with a fetal alcohol spectrum disorder also have a variety of strengths. And even when we look at some of the characteristics, maybe of coordination or memory or developmental delays, they often find strengths born out of working with some of those challenges. So we tend to try to be strength focused. And in North Carolina, when we're talking about diagnostics, we really have two primary centers that specialize in fetal alcohol spectrum disorder diagnosing. And these two are listed on the slide in front of you. When we look at smoking and illegal drug use, we often think of birth defects and how it negatively impacts pregnancies, but often alcohol is overlooked because it is so socially acceptable. In fact, when we start talking about culturally the acceptability of alcohol use during pregnancy rather than smoking illegal drugs, it is quite mind-boggling. Here are some of the birth defects in addition to the characteristics that we talked about that can be caused by fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. And structural brain injury is very important to emphasize because these brain changes will affect a person across their entire lifespan. The microcephaly, that is really where it's a physical feature where the widening of the space between the eyes on the face is wider than typical. Heart defects, hearing and vision difficulties, abnormal development in bones, kidneys, and other organs, and abnormal facial development in the lips, midface, and eyes, just as we had started speaking about earlier. Here are some of the facial features we had talked about, whether it's microcephaly or the palate or the lip right above their mouth. When you think about the facial features and those of people with a fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, only 10 to 15% of those born with a FASD have those facial features, meaning 85% of those born with a FASD may not be physically recognized to have that kind of spectrum disorder. A lot of times people with the facial features are also lumped into a subcategory of FASDs known as fetal alcohol syndrome. And since that only captures part of the spectrum of disorders, it really is a limiting term as far as diagnostics and referencing people who've been exposed to alcohol during pregnancy. So which of the trimesters is safest to drink during pregnancy? First, second, or third? Any guesses? Third is almost always the most popular guess. Whether it's 1 glass of wine per day or 2 glasses of wine per week, I often hear in the third trimester, because a lot of the fetal development has already occurred, is the safest to drink. The true development of from embryo to fetus to young person, you can see from left to right that brain development in the spinal cord and the central nervous system is developing across the entire pregnancy, all the way up through week 38 through 40. You're looking at ears, eyes, some of the facial features are really being formed during that third trimester. But the central nervous system, more than anything, those brain activities, potential and growth, really show that no trimester there is a safe amount of alcohol to drink more than any other trimester. So even low levels of alcohol have the potential to affect a fetus. And this increases with the more alcohol use. One of the things that I found very interesting is a fetus actually metabolizes alcohol twice when a pregnant person consumes alcohol. Once directly through the bloodstream, and then it's also stored in the amniotic fluid, which is also ingested by a fetus, making it kind of a double dose of alcohol per serving. Every pregnancy is different though, and a number of things contribute to pregnancies and outcomes and overall health. And while you read through some of these factors, you're going to see at the bottom that a type of alcohol a pregnant person has consumed has nothing to do with how the alcohol affects. So what I want to say to this is, just to put it in general terms, whether a pregnant person's consuming whiskey or wine or beer or a seltzered alcohol drink, all of it is considered the same based on alcohol units. Wine is not better for someone than a mixed drink or a beer or a fruity cocktail and handcrafted cocktail. all of it's alcohol, and all of it is going to filter through to that fetus and that embryo and that amniotic fluid that has to be digested during the process of developing the central nervous system. So this is just a not all-inclusive list of types of liquors and alcohol out there that really should just be plainly avoided during pregnancies, because there is no known safe amount of alcohol during pregnancy in any of the trimesters. So what's one drink anyways? Well, a serving of beer is 12 ounces, a serving of wine is 1.5 ounces, or one shot for distilled spirits. And keep in mind that because of the proof or the concentration of liquor or alcohol is different from one drink to the next, serving sizes might need to vary. An example of this might be one bottle of wine is stronger than another bottle of wine, so therefore the serving size would be different. Same thing in the liquor world. A standard Jack Daniels, for example, might be an 80 proof, whereas Bacardi 151 exceeds 100 proof. The serving sizes would be different. And binge drinking, we certainly don't want to see this during a pregnancy, but if women are drinking 4 or more drinks according to the standard drink units I was just talking about in 2 hours, that's considered a binge drinking session. And men with 5 or more drinks in 2 hours, of the ones that I just labeled, the 12 ounces, 5 ounces, or 1.5 ounces of distilled spirits, is considered a binge drinking session as well. So true or false, only people with alcohol use disorders are at risk of having a child with an FASD. What do you think? I mean, it makes sense alcohol use disorders would be at risk, but what about those who casually have a drink every now and then? 14% of women drank alcohol during pregnancy and 5% engaged in binge drinking, and not all of those persons were someone with an alcohol-related disorder. It's wonderful that 93% of women in North Carolina quit drinking alcohol after they found out they were pregnant. That's great news. However, if 7% of women in North Carolina continued drinking alcohol after they found out they were pregnant, it could be estimated that there would be over 8,500 babies born alcohol exposed annually in North Carolina, and that's a big number. And we can work to get that down. Let's talk about why would someone drink during pregnancy, and this is really understandable when we break it down without having a lot of judgment and stigma to it. Perhaps they drank before they knew they were pregnant. This sometimes happens with unplanned pregnancies that, a couple weeks go by before someone takes a pregnancy test and realizes they're pregnant, and during those few weeks before the pregnancy test, maybe they had consumed alcohol. Or maybe they didn't know about the risks associated with prenatal alcohol exposure. Maybe a healthcare provider gave them inaccurate information, even though it was with the best of intentions. Even some healthcare providers aren't fully trained about alcohol and fetal alcohol spectrum disorders and what we know. Sometimes we just get advice from a friend or a family member or someone else who drank alcohol during pregnancy and their child was not diagnosed with a fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Maybe someone has alcohol use disorder and are having trouble avoiding alcohol during pregnancy. Or maybe they are part of a culture in which drinking alcohol is socially acceptable even during pregnancy. Unplanned pregnancies in North Carolina represent up to 46% of pregnancies, and 52% of women didn't find out they were pregnant until at least 5 weeks into pregnancy. And this can contribute to alcohol-exposed pregnancies when people are unaware of the situations regarding pregnancy that they are actually in. And planned pregnancies, therefore, can help prevent FASDs by intentionally living lifestyles in preparation for becoming pregnant or as if someone were already pregnant. And we all play a role in supporting those impacted, those expecting, pregnant, and preventing FASD. So we can make safer alcohol choices and planned pregnancies to help prevent FASDs. And we do know for certain that there is no known safe amount of alcohol, type of alcohol, or time to drink alcohol during pregnancies. And that FASDs are brain-based permanent disabilities with wide-ranging effects that can impact 1 in 20 children in the U.S. So please take every opportunity you can to share what you've learned today. Next slide. Here are some resources in North Carolina in addition to our diagnostic centers, the two mentioned earlier in the slideshow. These places can give you some extra information on alcohol-exposed pregnancies. It would be really, really wonderful if you took the time to snap this QR code, do the very brief survey at the end. This is a initiative that we are hoping gets great feedback, but all feedback is welcome. It helps us adjust our program and deliver high quality education to you. And here are some of the sources, because this is a research-based presentation today. We want to make sure that you have all of the facts and references. I appreciate your time and attention today, and I hope that you learned at least a little bit about alcohol and fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, as well as alcohol-exposed pregnancies. If you have any questions, please contact the Fort Bragg Army Substance Abuse Program located in the basement of the Soldier Support Center, or at phone number 910-396-4100. Thank you and have a great day.